In this lecture, we are going to talk about spectrum of DSB-SE signal. DSB-SE means double sideband suppressed carrier. Okay, to discuss this, let us assume that your message signal, it is denoted by m of t, has some spectrum. That spectrum, how do you get? You take Fourier transform, then you will denote this by m of f. Okay, continuous time Fourier transform. For the sake of discussion, I will typically assume the spectrum to be real valued, because whenever you take Fourier transform, this guy is a complex quantity, right? So when you have a complex quantity, then this complex quantity is represented by its amplitude and its phase. Okay, but when you assume this is real valued, then no need to talk about its phase. Okay, but it is implied that if required, one can do that. Whatever we do for the amplitude plots is also valid for phase plots. For convenience, we will take the spectrum to be real itself, so that there is no question of amplitude and phase separately. So the Fourier transform of your m of t, let me denote by m of f. It describes completely about the spectrum. We are assuming this condition. Okay, so and also we assume that this m of f is a low pass signal. Low pass signal in the sense it includes the zero frequency also. Again, when I draw a spectrum like this, let me call this is my m of f. And this x-axis frequency, and this is 0 hertz, and this one is plus b hertz and minus b hertz. Okay, and please note down that it is not to depict that the real signals will have such kind of spectrum. It is an arbitrary wave shape, arbitrary shape. They may have any shape. Of course, if it is real, then it will have an even symmetric spectra. See, this is an even symmetric spectra. Recall from your Fourier transform. Okay, whenever the signal x of t is real, then its Fourier transform is even. Okay, even symmetric spectrum. So the important parameter here is the bandwidth of the baseband signal, and bandwidth of the baseband signal can be assumed as b hertz. What is the bandwidth? Bandwidth is equal to b hertz. Okay, so it could be a rectangular shape, and if you refer some other textbook, they may draw like this, like a triangle shape. Okay, so this is your m of f, and this is b and minus b, 0, or some authors will denote like this, like this. You can choose any shape. Okay, this is only for representation purpose, nothing else. In reality, the spectrum will be totally different from what we are drawing here. Okay, sometimes they will draw like this. Like this. Of course it should be even symmetric, but my waveform is not even. I think this is somewhat symmetric. M of f, and this is b, and this is minus b, 0, and this is f. You can choose any shape which you like it. Okay, so it could be rectangular shape, it could be triangular, it could be semicircle, or it could be this some weird shape. It doesn't matter. Now, what is your modulated signal? Please recall from the previous lecture. The modulated signal x of t is the product of your message signal m of t times its carrier waveform a times cosine of omega ct. Now this I can write a times m of t cos omega ct. This is modulated signal. What is this? Modulated signal. Now if you take Fourier transform in the frequency domain, it will be x of f is equal to a by 2 times m of f minus, maybe I'll write down the negative components first, f plus fc, then a by 2 m of f minus fc, because already I wrote f plus, so f minus fc, that's it. Of course if you go in this case I don't want the square bracket, I can put straight away like this. So a by 2, this is x of f, okay, and here plus sign, that's it. Now how does the spectrum look like? Let me take this is my message spectrum m of f, and this is f plus b, 0 minus b, negative frequency. Okay, so after modulation your spectrum looks like this. Okay, this is my x of f. It is located somewhere else. Like this, and this is a center point, let's say fc, and this one is fc plus b, and this one is fc minus b. Similarly this side also you will be having 2, 3, 4 boxes. This one is minus fc plus b, and this one is, this point is minus fc minus b. Therefore the spectrum looks like this. The modulated signal x of t would have the spectrum which is centered around the carrier frequency fc, and the same thing will happen around minus fc also, this minus fc also. So the spectrum is translated to plus fc, and the same spectrum is translated to minus fc. So the first thing that we notice is, let us compare the bandwidth of the original message signal with the bandwidth of the modulated signal. Now the question is, are they same or are they different? If you look at the bandwidth in the message signal, what is the bandwidth? The bandwidth is 0 to b hertz, therefore it is b hertz. Okay, when you try to calculate bandwidth, you should take only positive frequency. Okay, don't consider the negative frequency. This one is negative. Maybe I'll draw here. when you draw the spectrum like this, 0 and this is B hertz, you should consider only positive frequency. Why? Because positive frequency has the meaning and negative frequency doesn't have any meaning. It is only a mathematical concept. Okay, so the negative frequency is an abstract concept. It is an abstraction. Frequency is an abstract concept. It doesn't have any meaning. Okay, you should consider only positive frequencies. That's it. Therefore, as per this rule, then here in the message signal m of t has the bandwidth of how much? B hertz. Similarly, if we calculate the bandwidth in this positive portion, this is f and this is my bandwidth. What is the upper frequency? Bandwidth is equal to highest frequency minus lowest frequency. Lowest frequency. What is the highest frequency here? Highest frequency is Fc plus B minus lowest frequency is Fc minus B. Now Fc plus B minus Fc, minus times minus plus B. This Fc and that Fc will get cancelled. Therefore 2B hertz. Okay. Bandwidth is equal to 2B hertz here. Bandwidth of the modulated signal is 2B hertz. What about the original signal? B hertz. Okay, so in the original message signal, don't consider this negative frequency. These all are negative frequencies, don't consider. Okay. Negative frequency doesn't have any meaning. Therefore, for the real frequencies, we should say positive. Okay. So, really speaking, we are talking of a spectrum occupancy of 0 to B hertz. Okay. But in this case, if you look at the modulated signal, the bandwidth is 2B hertz. On the positive frequency axis itself, we have an occupancy of 2B hertz. Okay, if you look at the modulated signal in the positive frequency axis, you have B hertz of bandwidth 0 to B hertz. I'm sorry. Okay. Now look at the band in the positive frequency axis. I have the bandwidth B. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the modulated signal in the positive frequency axis, what is the bandwidth? The bandwidth is 2B hertz. Because this entire spectrum gets translated to around Fc. This entire spectrum, okay, including the negative axis, get translated into positive axis around Fc. Therefore, the bandwidth in the modulated signal is 2B hertz. Okay, so the first thing that we notice is the bandwidth of the modulated signal is 2B. So actually your modulated signal has a larger bandwidth than the message signal bandwidth. So now one can ask a question, is that a nice thing or a bad thing? From the bandwidth conservation point of view, it is not a very nice thing, okay. So we should try to minimize the bandwidth usage as much as possible. Okay. Now if you look at the M of F itself, spectrum of M of F itself, as we know for any real signal, M of F has some symmetric properties. Okay. If you take a real signal X of t, because after all when we modulate, what is a modulating signal? So X of t, this is voice signal or music signal or something else, okay, or video signal. This all are real signal. If you take Fourier transform of real signal, then you'll get a m of, sorry, this is not x of t, let me call m of t. Okay, if you take Fourier transform of this capital M of f, and this is even and real. Okay, it is not complex. Okay, so your modulated signal has a larger bandwidth than the message signal bandwidth. That is one point we observed. Okay, so for any real signal m of f, it has some symmetric properties. The magnitude is even symmetry and its phase is odd symmetry. Okay, so you take real signal, Fourier transform, this guy has two properties. The first property is amplitude spectrum is even. Amplitude spectrum is even, and the second property is phase spectrum is odd. Okay, phase spectrum is odd. So if I know the spectrum on one side of the frequency axis, I also know the spectrum at the other side of the frequency axis. Okay, suppose if I know the spectrum in the right hand side like this, then the left hand side also it will be like this because of the evenness. Okay, if I know the spectrum in the right hand side like this, then the left hand side also will be like this, even symmetry, evenness. So that's what we mean by even symmetric. Magnitude is even and phase spectrum is odd function. So with the odd property and even property of a signal, we can construct the negative side also. So what I am trying to do in this modulated signal is transmitting both the sides, the positive side as well as negative side. That means what? Your original message signal, if you look at here, let me delete all these things. Oh my god. Okay, no problem. If you look at the original message signal, I have positive side, then I have negative side. Okay, so this is negative side and this one is positive side. But if you look at the magnitude modulated signal, I have both positive as well as negative or translated here. Okay, both are appearing here. Okay, this guy represents positive and this guy represents negative of the m of f. So that is why it occupies a larger bandwidth. Okay, so if I somehow only transmit this portion alone, I could as well send the same information by keeping in mind the actual spectrum is symmetric around Fc. So in this point it is symmetric around Fc. Therefore amplitude is even symmetric around Fc for a real modulated signal. So if I could if I somehow could use that I could have conserved the bandwidth by reducing it to b hertz only. Okay, so we will discuss this a little later, especially when we discuss single sideband modulation. So what I am saying is, if you take the modulated signal like this, this point is Fc. Whatever the information I have in this band, the same information will exist in this band also. Therefore, this portion is replica of this portion. Which portion? This portion. Both contains the same information. Whatever the information I have Fc plus Fc to Fc plus B, the same information will exist in this also. So the same information I am transmitting 2 times. Okay, not necessary to transmit the same information 2 times and unnecessarily wasting the bandwidth. That's what I am trying to say here. So this is FC minus B. So somehow what you do, you remove this part and transmit only this guy. If you do that, then what will happen? You are saving the bandwidth. That type of modulation is called a single sideband modulation. That we will discuss a little later. For the time being, we are discussing double sideband suppressed carrier modulation. Okay, so whatever the component which exists above the carrier frequency, that is called upper sideband, and whatever the frequency that is exists below the carrier frequency, that is called a lower sideband. Okay, so that is why it occupies the total bandwidth which is larger than the original spectrum. So the portion of the spectrum, let me delete these guys. Okay, now this is the center point. The portion of the spectrum which lies above FC called the upper sideband, USB. This FC to FC plus B. Similarly, minus FC to FC, the portion of the spectrum lies below the carrier frequency, FC, is called lower sideband. Okay, so side refers to the carrier frequency here. Above the carrier frequency, one sideband. This is one sideband. And this also one sideband. Therefore, two sidebands I have here. That is why it is called a double sideband. Okay, hence it is called a double sideband. Now, if you look at the corresponding negative plot also in the negative side, then it looks like this. And this one is minus FC plus B. Okay, and this one is called a lower sideband, and this one is called a upper sideband. Now you can ask why this negative frequency is coming. This guy is, why is it coming? So that is a genuine question one can ask. Okay, so the trouble is, for a real signal I cannot get rid of this negative frequency, and the real signal, what I mean by real signal, because your modulated signal is real. Why is it real? X of t is equal to m of t times a times cosine of omega ct. What is m of t? Real. What is a times omega ct? Real. Therefore, your modulated signal is real. So, whenever you have a real signal, and if you take Fourier transform, the Fourier transform has both positive component and negative component. This positive is positive complex component, complex quantity, this both are. Okay, it is not real positive and real negative. Okay, both are complex. For example, as I said, this example, I am repeating once more here. Suppose you have a question, okay, you have equation ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This a is a real coefficient and b is real and c also real. All are real coefficient. But if you try to solve this equation, quadratic equation, then x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now sometimes you will get a complex roots also. For example, let me take x squared plus 2x plus 5. In this case, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 2 and c is equal to 5. Then x is equal to minus b minus 2 plus or minus square root of b squared 4 minus 4 times a times c 20 divided by 2a 2 minus 2 plus or minus 4 minus 20 16 minus 16 square root of 16 is j times 4 divided by 2. Therefore, the roots will be minus 1 plus j2 minus 1 minus j2. Even though the original equation is real, the a is real and b is real and c is real, but the moment you find the solution for that, you have a complex solution. Okay, and the beauty is both are complex conjugate. Okay, you will not get a solution like a minus 1 plus j2 one solution and 2 is another solution. No, this is wrong. Whenever the solution occurs, that solution will be always complex conjugate pair. Similarly, if you take a real signal and you try to find its Fourier transform, it has both complex part, both positive part and real part. That is why you are getting here positive part and here you are getting negative part. Okay, it is just a mathematical notation. I cannot get rid of it. Okay, no one can get rid of it. The only way I can get rid of it is by converting it to a complex signal. Okay, by taking a real part of that, then you can avoid that negative part. So as long as you are living with a real signal, the moment you go to frequency domain, you will have both positive frequency and negative frequency. Okay, so that means one can ask a question, okay, are we getting some additional information in the negative part? Any additional information? No, we are not getting any additional information. These are all abstract quantity, okay, no information and no negative frequency in real life. It is only mathematical notation. Okay, so in the original message, if you take Fourier transform, my message is here only. This is my message part. And this one is just mathematics. Okay, 0 to b. This is my m of f. But the moment if you take Fourier transform, then what happens? Here I have this part also contains a message fc to fc plus b, and unfortunately this guy also contains the same information. Same message. That means what? You are transmitting this portion 2 times unnecessarily. Okay, so the lower sideband also contains the same information of this guy, and upper sideband also contains the same information. So as far as information content wise goes, I could have transmitted only one of the sidebands somehow by removing the other. Either you remove the lower sideband or you remove the upper sideband. It doesn't matter. Okay, like for example, I could have removed the lower sideband and transmitted the upper sideband, or I could have removed the upper sideband and transmitted lower sideband. This is LSB, USB. So these are called a single sideband modulation because it contains only one sideband. Okay, even though it transmits single sideband, it will have full information. No need to transmit the lower sideband. It contains full information. Okay, so and I could have exploited the symmetry somehow at the receiver. So if I know the way of exploiting the symmetry, I could do it. Okay, we will discuss that later. Okay, so that will be discussed when we discuss single sideband modulation. Okay, because we know the properties of real signal. What are the properties of real signal? The spectrum has to be symmetric around Fc, even symmetric for amplitude spectrum, and odd symmetric for phase spectrum. Okay, so that symmetric will not get translated to Fc, isn't it? When you do a frequency translation, the symmetry properties would translate around Fc. Symmetry will not be disturbed. Okay, and this is only for the real signal. Okay, only for the real signals, not for any other signal. Because in real life, we transmit only real signals, as I said, the speech signal, music signal, voice signal, like that. Complex signals we generate mathematically, not in the laboratory. Okay, and these complex signals are, when I say complex signal, it is the signal processing tool, that's all. Mathematically we use it. Signal processing tool. So don't start with the complex signal. Actual waveform that you will transmit will be some voltages. Okay, so actual signal or real signal will be some voltages, voltage waveform or current waveform. Okay, because they are real signals. Now the second part of the name, okay, let me complete this. So therefore, so the first thing that we have learned is, therefore this waveform has upper sideband and lower sideband. Each of which carries the complete information about the message by itself. However, in this kind of signals, we transmit both the sidebands, and therefore it is called a double sideband, because we are transmitting upper sideband and lower sideband, double sideband modulated signal. Now the second part of the name, suppressed carrier. Why is it called suppressed carrier? Let us see. In short, we said SC. Okay, now as we know that if we have a cosine signal, for example cos omega ct, if you take Fourier transform, you will have two impulses. One is pi times del del of omega minus omega c, and another one is pi of del of omega plus omega c. Now if you take the modulate, that means what? In the transform domain, in the time domain, you have the signal like this, sinusoidal signal, but in the transform domain you have two impulses. One impulse is sitting at let's say minus fc. Instead of this, let me use pi of f minus fc plus pi of f minus f plus fc, or either way. And another one is sitting at plus fc, two impulses. Now if you take your modulated signal x of t, take Fourier transform, your Fourier transform contains a by 2 times m of f plus fc plus a by 2 times m of f minus fc. Now is there any impulse in this? No. No impulse. No impulse means what? No impulse. No impulse means no carrier explicitly. No carrier will be present explicitly in the output or explicitly in the modulated signal. Okay, therefore this is what? Suppressed carrier modulation. See, if you look at the spectrum is like this, right? The spectrum is like this. This is a carrier frequency fc, but is there any impulse here? That is a question. In this, is there any impulse? Okay, no. No impulse means no carrier. Okay, so the spectrum is shifted around the carrier frequency, but there is no specific carrier component present as such. Okay, by that mean there is no impulse component like this or like this, no component. Later on we will see amplitude modulation, where we will see this explicit component. Okay, no component. The negative frequency also no component. Okay, there is no component like that. There is no component, no impulse component means no carrier. No carrier means no a cos omega ct. Okay, so there is no impulse component at fc. Because of that reason, we call it suppressed carrier. Carrier is not transmitted. Suppressed carrier. It doesn't have a carrier component located at fc. Of course, the signal spectrum, if it is non-zero at 0, will imply that a non-zero values of the spectrum at this point. So, and by the way, what is this? This is a spectral density, right? It is not amplitude, it is a spectral density. So it doesn't mean that there is a carrier component. For a carrier component to be present, you must have an impulse function there. Okay, so in this area you must have an impulse function. Okay, suppose you have like this. Now somebody comes and asks you, what is the energy present in the signal at any specific point. At any specific point. How do you find out at any specific point? Frequency. At any specific point it is 0 because it is an energy density function. Okay, so this is an amplitude density function. Recall from your Fourier transform. Amplitude density function. So the actual amplitude will be proportional to the area under the curve. Okay, whenever you want to find out the amplitude, then you take the area under the curve. If you take a single point, then its amplitude is 0. So the actual amplitude will be proportional to the area under the curve. So the area occupied by the single point would be 0. Unless there is an impulse present here. If there is an impulse, then yes, you can say there are some amplitude. Since there is no impulse anywhere here, and specifically it is not there at the carrier also, we call it a double sideband with a suppressed carrier. So the other properties that we have just therefore learned are the signal waveform has two sidebands, lower sideband, upper sideband. Therefore this is called a double sideband. And the second point that we learned is no carrier component. No carrier component in the modulated signal. Therefore suppressed carrier. So this is called a double sideband suppressed carrier. Now let us look at the amount of power that is transmitted through this waveform, modulated waveform. Transmitted power. Let me denote this transmitted power by capital S suffix T. So how do you find out the power of the signal? You take a signal, modulated signal x of t. What is your modulated signal x of t? This is A times m of t times cosine omega ct, right? Now first you find out, square the signal, x squared of t and dt. It is a voltage signal, and integrate from minus t to plus t. What is this? This is the energy of the signal. Okay, energy of the waveform in the interval minus t to plus capital T. Okay, now what you do? You divide by 2t, minus t to plus t, x squared of t and dt. And what is this? Power. Power from minus t to plus t, and then allow limit t to go to infinity. So this is your transmitted power in the modulated signal. Okay, you take the limit. Now you know the x of t, substitute the value here. Therefore s suffix t is equal to limit t goes to infinity 1 over 2t integral of x of t. What is x of t? A squared times m squared of t and cos squared of t times cos squared omega ct and dt. Okay, so this will be the definition of our calculation of power of any arbitrary waveform or signal. Now cos square theta, we know the formula, 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2. Therefore limit t goes to infinity 1 over 2t minus t2 plus t a squared of t m squared of t within a bracket 1 plus cos of 2 omega ct 2 yes cos square 2 omega ct then whole divided by 2 and dt. You can break this integration into two parts. 2 integral limit t goes to infinity 1 over 2t integral of minus t2 plus t a squared by 2 m square of t and dt plus limit t goes to infinity 1 over 2t integral of a square by 2 m squared of t cos square omega ct 2 omega ct and dt. Again the limit is minus t to plus t. Now what can you say about the second integration? Okay, this integration, what can you say? 0. The second integration leads to 0. Why? What is the reason? What is the argument? The same argument which we discussed in the last lecture. Because your m of t is low pass signal, that's what we assumed, right? Low pass signal. That means what? It is slowly varying signal. It's slowly varying like this. And what is your cos 2 omega ct? It is a high pass signal or high frequency. High frequency means it varies like this. Very fast rate it is varying like this. Now what you do? See, m square, this is my m square of t. Okay, it is slowly varying. Okay, but this is my cos 2 omega ct, but this is varying very fastly. So we can consider the second part of integral as an integration of half cycle by half cycle. Okay, so let me say like this and like this. This is minus t, this is 0 and this is t. Now integrate 0 to t. If you integrate 0 to t, this is my area. Okay, and similarly if you integrate from 0 to t next to half cycle, this is my area. So both areas will cancel each other. Okay, if you integrate half cycle by half cycle of the carrier, then the area will be cancelled out. So over one cycle, you can assume m square of t is nearly constant. So this area is nearly constant. It is not changing. And here also this area is nearly constant. So essentially you are integrating cos omega ct alone, because in the integral you have a square by 2 m squared of t cos of 2 omega ct and dt, and the limit is minus 2t plus t. This a square by 2 is constant, m square of t is constant. You can pull out of the integration a square by 2 m square of t integral of minus t2 plus t cos 2 omega ct. If you integrate this, what you will get? You will get 0. Okay, therefore over one cycle you can assume m square of t is nearly constant, and the positive half cycle will cancel with the negative half cycle. Therefore the value of the second integral would be 0. Okay, so this is 0 because omega ct is being multiplied by a very slowly varying function m of t compared to its own rate of fluctuation. Therefore second part is 0. What about the first part? First part I can rewrite as follows. This a square by 2 is constant. I can pull out of the integration a square by 2 limit t goes to infinity 1 over 2t integral of m square of t and dt, and the limit is minus t2 plus t. Now don't you see that this is the precisely the definition of what? Definition of power of the message signal m of t. Therefore this I denote by s suffix t. What about this a square by 2? A square by 2, because my carrier signal is a times cosine omega ct. What is the power in this a cosine omega ct? A square by 2. Recall from your signals and systems. Whether you take a cos omega ct or a 2 omega ct or a cos 0.5 omega ct or a times sine omega ct or a times sine of 100,000 omega ct or whatever it is, all these guys has the power of a squared by 2. Okay, so therefore this is the power in the carrier. let me denote this guy by S suffix T and this power in the message by S suffix M. The left hand side transmitted power, and let me call this S suffix A, S suffix C. Okay, therefore the transmitted power S suffix T is equal to carrier power times message power Sm. Okay, where A square by 2 is the carrier power and the message power is this definition. Therefore your transmitted power S suffix T is the product of the carrier power and the message power. Okay, so let me stop at this point. In the next lecture we will talk about recovery of baseband signal. Okay, so how can we recover the baseband signal from the modulated signal? Thank you very much.